On the show today, we discuss why anniversaries are important to spirits. We also look at some of our favourites from the dreams you sent to us during the year. Welcome to So You Think You're Awake, our special anniversary edition. I'm Michael Sheridan, and with me in studio is Susan Pullen and Heidi Brooke. So Heidi, you can start us off. Why are anniversaries important to spirits?
Well, I think we've covered it once before on one show. I remember a little bit about anniversaries, but from spirits' point of view, anniversaries are hugely important. Even anniversaries from past lives, when the times, are why we celebrate our birth, why do we celebrate our passing of a loved one. Anything like that, they're hugely important. They're recognized on the spirit plane because that is part of our attachment to the earthbound souls, is the time factor in the anniversaries.
A lot of people discover they have dreams of departed loved ones on the anniversary of their death, more so than their birthday, and they're always surprised afterwards to look up the dates and go, wow, it was right on the day she died.
And there's another thing as well, and I've often channeled it just out of my own curiosity. Why do most people pass so close to their birthdays? I wonder, do you guys ever notice that, or any of our listeners? I'm sure you have noticed that. When I hear of people that I know that are passing, they usually die within 2 or 3 weeks of their birthday.
It's probably to avoid paying the spiritual equivalent of the IRS.
No, I think it just shows you that our time here on Earth is very much planned to the day. And that just emphasizes why anniversaries again are so important. We have the time factor here on Earth. We have a lot to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. So, Michael, it's the 1 year anniversary of the show.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. So, what was in your mind when you started the show a year ago?
Well, there was a few reasons. One reason was I had recently moved to Seattle. Heidi obviously too, and nobody here knows me, whereas in Ireland I'd been on the TV and radio regularly until we moved. It just seemed like a logical thing to do, but it was still sort of scary at the same time. I'd been on, I don't know, probably 1,000 shows or more, and on lots and lots of different stations, but hosting a show is quite different. And I sort of fell into this. I discovered KKNW, and I thought I'd give it a try. Initially, the show was on Tuesdays at 3:00 for half an hour, so it didn't require as much preparation. What people don't probably realize is I spent 2 days preparing for this 1 hour show. I don't know how much time you spend, but I know it's a lot because we converse a lot during the week.
Yes.
About the show. Heidi is lucky she can
just show up. Can you tell?
I'm kidding. But so a half hour in the beginning, it took almost the same amount of time as the full hour does now. Of course, the full hour takes a little bit more. But really a key ingredient of what makes the show good is the dreams and the variety of dreams that we get from the listeners. So that's vital. And one of the fears I had when starting up was, will we get enough dreams sent in to us? But fortunately, that's, there's been a steady stream coming in all the time, and that's really good.
Yes.
And there's a few people we've done a few of their dreams, and there's a lot of people we've only done one of their dreams. One of the things we've talked about doing before maybe is doing a lot of dreams from one dreamer and having them in the studio or on the phone or whatever, and getting them to relate the analysis to what's going on in their lives or what went on in their lives. Because one thing I know we don't do enough of is read out the feedback we get from people, and we get quite a lot of feedback. If we do 10 dreams, we'll get at least 3 people writing in, and we rarely bring that up on the show. So, but I think that's my Irish training. I don't have the American wits for selling myself, but anyway, that's how it is.
So you went from the 30-minute format on your own to the hour-long format with Heidi and me.
And even that, we discussed that a lot, the three of us, and we were thinking initially that it would be more entertaining for listeners if there was somebody in the studio, because we could have a bit of a banter. And very quickly we realized, it's better if there's 3 of us in the studio, because there's just more variety, and I have two people to pick on then.
Yeah, yes.
So you did know a year ago you were going to perfect the show by adding myself and Susan.
Well, you can see some people have the wit. So, and also you said we wanted to spend Thanksgiving with our loved ones. Of course, that's true. But the radio station's on a skeleton crew today. So we would have been in the studio on our own, or having to drag somebody in that really should have had a day off.
Yeah. And I'm happy that hopefully Eric
Yes.
gets the day off today as well.
He does.
Yeah.
So we were going to look at dreams that we've done, our favourite ones, because we've done nearly 500 dreams at this stage, so it's quite a lot. And they're all in the archives. Anybody can go back and look at the archives. So we're going to mention the archive that we pick these particular dreams from. So you've picked some favourites, I've picked some favourites. And we're just going to go through those, I guess, and say why we like them.
Yeah. All right.
Do you want to start?
I'll start.
And I'm on a day off here as well, so I'm hoping you've got the analysis with you, or remember it. I'm just kidding.
So this is one called The Clamshell. It's from episode 16. And the dreamer tells us that this was a recurring nightmare for a few years as a child. So she says, I was at a birthday party for another blonde little girl under the sea in an air-filled area. I didn't want to be there because the kids were not my friends and they didn't interest me. The other kids were having fun together, eating at a picnic table with a white and pink cake. I wasn't interested, as most kids are not on others' birthdays. I ran off and was jumping from stone to stone over the water. I was going fast, and I jumped onto a huge open pink clam with a pearl. I was not interested in the pearl. I just ran faster so the clam would not close on me. I make it out and wake up. Okay.
And do you remember what the analysis is, or will I give a summary?
Do you want to give a summary? So,
Yeah, it's about, of course, this is age 8, and this is the important thing. And this dream is about emotional issues. And we've done most of these things on the show at this stage. So, I mean, that was another reason. You asked why did I do the show. One is I've been doing this stuff doing dream analysis and teaching courses for close to 25 years at this stage. I've written a book on it, another book just almost finished. And so I like teaching people how to understand what's in their dreams. So really that's the big reason I did it. And I thought, okay, I can take information from the courses and information from my book and distill it and adapt it for the radio. And we've done that. And you've written a lot of articles as well. So that's actually made it more interesting too. And Heidi's written some articles too, which we're going to start featuring as soon as she can keep blood flowing at the same time as reading. But this dream anyway is about the circulatory system, and we know from the colour pink straight away that it's about issues with her mom. You can't change the meaning of colours in dreams. Their meaning comes from the colours, their meaning in the aura, of colours in the aura. So it's one of those symbols that you can't have a personal association with. So it's great. I always go straight for colours if I see them in a dream. And we have white and pink. So white is trying to be the antidote for the issues that have gone on in childhood. So the dream anyway is saying to the dreamer that she picked up issues from her mom at that age. And we typically see and you do regressions with people as well, and how people cut the ties.
I help people cut the ties.
You don't do regressions. If you regress people back, you will see that people who close off their heart have done so at a very young age, typically around age 2, and or even younger. And by the time, if you're regressing them forward and backwards through their life, you will see definitely by age 3 they have a wall built up that they use to protect themselves, so that nobody else can hurt them. And the idea is that if I don't let anybody else get close to me, I can't be hurt. The main hurt being that when I was open and loving, I didn't receive love in return. And mom gets a bashing here, dads get off pretty much scot-free. in this regard, not in other regards.
Yeah.
But we learn how to love from our mom, and if our mom didn't love us, or if our mom loved us conditionally, like put a price on our love, that she loved us when we did certain things, then it's going to show up in dreams, and it's going to be because we built this wall up. So here, the clam getting away from people is her distancing herself. The clam is a shell. So it's symbolic of the shell that she has around herself, and then she steps on a turtle, which is another shell. So we have several symbols in the dream that all indicate this shell that the dreamer has around herself. Now we also know that this dreamer has cut the ties because of the radio show, and that's another reason for doing the show. Hopefully people will listen to the message that is in the dreams, take the action that the dreams say, and get the huge benefit that comes from doing that.
You didn't mention the birthday party.
Well, it's about her birth, of course. Why did she come here? And she brought the ability, a counselling ability with her, which is what's given by the pearl. Pearl represents wisdom, and wisdom in dreams symbolises a counselling ability. Is there anything else in it that I didn't meet? Well, okay, we see it's under the sea, and it's a blonde girl. So under the sea means that it's about spiritual abilities and counselling, even though people might not realise that is a spiritual ability. People come in. It's very important. You don't learn how to counsel from going to college. And I know, yes, in Washington, you have to go to college, you have to get a degree, and you have to be part of a particular system before you are allowed to counsel other people. And that's fine. You can still play by those rules, but counsellors are born rather than trained. And they learn their skill from a very young age by being distant, like this young girl was, by being distant and looking at the world from the outside, and never feeling part of it, never feeling like you've bonded, and seeing the differences and distinctiveness in everybody. It's a very lonely life. Then these people, when they go and get training and become counsellors, they're absolutely fantastic. This will be somebody that if you go to, you will recommend to all your friends. Whereas most people will hide the fact that they're in counselling. Of course, in America, maybe they don't. But it's one of those things that there's no good reason to hide the fact that you've been in counselling. You could almost say anybody, you can tell who needs counselling. It's very easy. It's the people who haven't received it yet. We all have issues. I'm joking, but we do all have issues. So the point of this is you can be a counsellor, you can be trained, and you could be terrible. Your dreams and your guides could be saying, get out of that field. You're helping nobody because you don't have the skills. You didn't have this poor bond at the start of life, and can never be a counsellor because you could never train yourself to look at the world that way. All you can learn is to rehash things that you get in a textbook. And this is one of the beauties about dreams, that they will always show you what your specific skill is and why. So this dream is saying, you had a horrible start to life. You know it. Your higher self knows it. And it's saying, but look, this is the beautiful thing that came out of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I love this dream because it just encapsulates, I think that's a good word for this dream, so much about what's going on for the dreamer. And I love the metaphor for the shell, of the shell, and how we put up a shell around ourselves.
Or clam up. We even have the expression,
so exactly.
But sharing in this context is always about sharing your feelings, not your anger. People, this wall is built with anger. So it's like I keep people at a distance by having a formidable arsenal ready to fire at them and take their head off before they can come close. But what you do then is you cut the ties with mom, you heal this issue, you then get a bond with the earth plane, but you still have this skill because you've done the work to get it.
All right.
Informal training from childhood.
Yeah, but much longer and much more specific. Far deeper. And also, don't forget, of course, that we train before we come here. So our dreams will also show us the preparation we made for life. And that's really important. Maybe we have one of those in one of our dreams that we picked. I didn't look for that specifically, so I can't say.
I don't know. Do you want to share one of yours next?
Sure. I have a few. One that I really liked. Let's see if I can find it. The dreamer calls it "punched my sister in the face," and I said it on the show when we did it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!
This is
punched my sister in the face for eating.
This
my
is
food.
from July, and I like it for a few reasons. One is it reminds me of Heidi's son Billy.
I hope we're going to explain that.
He loves Mr. Peabody,
Okay.
or his younger brother loves Mr. Peabody. And there's a line in the movie where an actor says, "We're going to punch that hole in the face to close a rift in time." And Heidi didn't know that line was in the movie, and she was freaking for about 2 weeks, wondering, where is Billy getting this whole thing? He keeps saying all the time, "I'm going to punch you in the face." And she thought he was getting it from school, and she was asking everybody, "Who's saying this? Where is he getting it?" And it was funnier for that reason, but also because of the animated way that Billy says it. But anyway, I like the dream. So it says, it's titled, "Punch my sister in the face for eating my food. Last night I dreamt I was at the airport in Hawaii, ready to return to California. I was at a sweet shop in the airport and told them I had a corn allergy. The Asian chef making mochi said he could make mochi, which is rice cake, for me with regular sugar, not corn syrup. I was really happy. I watched him make it. He put fish in the middle, which is gross, and I knew I was allergic to fish. Then as I paid at the register, my sister had eaten my mochi. I was so mad I punched her in the face in front of everyone. Then I was in our restroom taking a bath, and there was too many hand mirrors. After the bath, I asked my sister why she put so many mirrors up, and she said she went overboard buying them from Daiso, a Japanese dollar store. I didn't count them, but the walls were filled with them, and even the shower. I removed most of them, but still left over a dozen or maybe 13, including the large main mirrors. I counted the remaining mirrors to my sister so she could see there had been way too many before I removed some, and I was leaving plenty of mirrors still." And this is the important part. This is what happened in real life. She says, "I ate cotton candy that had an artificial flavour, which was probably corn, which I'm allergic to, that made me ill the night before. And today I told my sister she could eat the rest if she wanted to." And I have seen this many times. And it's funny because she's talking about an Asian chef. I have a dream in my book where somebody has Chinese food, and in that dream, he's punching people in the face. Now, again, both dreamers who have the allergies are punching other people in the face. So why is that happening? It's because when they eat something they're allergic to, it brings up blemishes on their skin, and that's really what it's about. It's to show that it has this impact. I mean, you are punching you're going to get the same reaction as being punched in the face, but you've just done it a different way, and that's why it's shown up. The other thing that's interesting in this dream, of course, is all the mirrors, which are all to do with reproduction. And this dreamer, in fact, just recently, so this dream is in July, and she just gave birth to a little girl a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So that's what the mirrors are about, and we say that all the time. It's a common enough one to come up in on the show. Mirrors are about reproduction. They're a device that reproduces an image of you or reproduces you, so that they're about your reproduction. So this dream is telling her to watch what she eats because it also affects her reproductive system, and that's important if you're pregnant.
So we're going to take a short break. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake. I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts. When you remove the old beliefs that keep you living the same patterns over and over in your career, relationships, or health, then your life begins to flow. It's as though you're in a boat, and in place of the waves that used to upset or rock your boat, you now have smooth, open water with the current carrying you where you want to go. It is my great pleasure to work with your guides and angels to teach you to clear old beliefs and conditioning, including cutting the ties, so you can have greater freedom and ease in your life. Work with me in person or over the phone. Call me today at 206-818-4680 or find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For Readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Open your ears, open your heart, open your mind. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back to So You Think You're Awake. I'm Susan Pullen, and I'm here with Michael Sheridan and Heidi Brooke. And for the 1-year anniversary of the show today, we're recapping some of our favorite dreams that we've analyzed, that Michael's analyzed on the show over the last year. So,
Heidi's
Heidi,
turn.
you have a favorite for us?
Yeah, so I just picked a really short one. But I remember this because I think I did a bit of channeling on it as well.
Yes, and I suppose it's fair to say quite often I would approach you and say, Heidi, I haven't analysed a dream. Here's what it's about. Check that I'm not missing something or that I've not got it wrong. So you're quite often an unsung hero. So anyway.
Well, it's always good to get clarification. I do the same with you. So this one was from June of this year as well, and it's just really short. As I said, the dream was carrying a sugar cane and a 25 kilogram bag of rice, the interpretation was that the cane is a crutch and they shouldn't let sugar be their crutch, and also to recognize that rice has a high glycemic index and it spikes their sugar level. Basically, this person has an addiction to sugar, which I think most of the population does, but this dream is pointing it out to him. So he has a really bad addiction to sugar, and I dare say diabetic or pre-diabetic also.
I like that dream for the punch it carries, but yet it's so short.
Yeah. They didn't need to say a lot to get the message across. And it's probably, do you see that, when it's really short dream with a very specific message, is it usually because they know this message already?
It's what you would tend to have is you have really short dreams when you're doing a therapy, not at the very early stages of it, but when you start accepting the message, then the dreams come to you very short, because it's like each dream is a message, is a request from your higher self to your soul saying, I want you to make these changes, and or more appropriately, let's make these changes. And generally our subconscious jumps in and says, no, I'm not going to make the change because I'm afraid of this and I'm afraid of that. And you remember the last time I opened my heart to somebody, that was painful. And that shows up in the dream. And so what tends to happen then when you're doing the therapy is we prepare ourselves, and we're overriding our subconscious, and that's what increasing our awareness is about. And we're saying, okay, this is something I'm doing, and our subconscious starts accepting the message. And when we see it accepting the message, we don't see it jumping in and spoiling the dream and making it take 10 turns to do with it. There, see, I gave a longer answer than the dream.
Well, now I understand.
Okay,
So
Susan,
I have a favorite. It's called The Haunted Mansion. So the dreamer writes, this dream starts out with what I call a knowing. I see this beautiful mansion, and I know that it's been around a long time. It was converted to a haunted house to be used at Halloween to make money to keep the house up and running. All the scenes of the haunted house are on the first floor of this large mansion. No one lives in the house. And I just know that when I was a kid, I went to the mansion with friends, always in groups of friends, and I've done it once or twice as an adult, and always in groups of friends. So now the beginning of the dream.
So what was that first bit?
That was like what she calls a knowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
comes at the beginning of the dream, before the action scene.
Okay.
I walk up to the mansion and I notice that I'm late. My friends are nowhere to be found, and I'm assuming they're going through the mansion. I ask this blonde, little bit overweight woman if she could take me to where my friends are. She started talking, and I ask her if they, the team running the mansion, were living in the house at this time of year. She gives me a strange look and says, no one lives here. She agreed to take me to my friends, so we walk into the first scene in the first room, and she starts to turn on the exhibits. I asked her, why are you doing that? I don't need to go through the experience as I've already done it. She points out that I paid for the tour and she wants to make sure I get the experience. While she's turning on the exhibits, I find a hidden back door. This mansion is full of hidden doors that were servant passageways to get through the house quickly. and I go through looking for a shortcut to my group of friends. I didn't want to go through the experience without my friends, as I thought it was scary and wouldn't be fun without them. I make it through the passageway and end up in a huge hallway. I see them at the other end. They wave at me and motion for me to come join them, and I wake up before I can join them.
Okay, I can remember pieces of the analysis of this, but clue us in. And why did you like it? Is it for the dream or for the analysis?
So, well, okay, I have a soft spot for dreams that have a message about our karma, and if we're running late or feel like we're running late, or those kinds of themes. And so that was one of the reasons I picked this one. And I also like how she says that she tries to take a shortcut, but the guide, the tour guide, so to speak, the guide in the dream, says, no, you've paid for the full experience. So I want you to have the full experience. And she tries to tell her, no, I've already done it, so I don't need it. And
that's the key. A lot of people don't realize, myself included, when you're going through something in your life, it's the experience that is the important thing, not the fact that you solve it or can get through it, or, well, I mean, obviously getting through it is important, but here it's trying to say, look, even if you know where you're going, you still have to go through all these experiences before you can get there, before it's correct for you to get there. Mm-hmm. And it's the same in life. If you can imagine, if you want to go to the shops and need to go to the bank to get money out first, it's exactly the same in reality and increasing awareness. There are steps to increasing your awareness. There are things you must do, and you must do them in a particular sequence. The timing isn't so important usually, but the sequence is important. And here it's obviously pointing out the sequence. Is there anything in particular? Is there anything I'm skipping? We know it's a guide because she calls her a guide, but she also has blonde hair, which is a calling card of guides. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, in the other dream that you picked out earlier, there was a blonde girl, mm-hmm. and we learned later from other dreams from that dreamer that she's a guide. So.
Yeah. And I also like there's a little pun in here, and I love the puns in dreams, where she says, I noticed that I'm late, and then she says the blonde guide is a little bit overweight, mm-hmm. which strikes me as a pun for overweight, W-A-I-T. So. Yeah,
and being late, of course, is typical to see in a dream when you're wondering, is there something I should be doing with my life?
Mm-hmm. They're saying, yes, you're late.
You're late in terms of, a lot of people have this issue. They feel that they need to get into a career, need to do the best that they can, and then they actually, and that's fine, but they actually then get consumed by the career and think that that's what their life is about, that I was born on this planet to work in whatever large corporation that I'm working in. No, you weren't. Mm-hmm. And there's various things that you're here to do, and that's the late part. You're not doing the things that you came here to do, and you still need to stop kidding yourself that you don't need to go through the experience. Most of the things that we do in our lives, we've already done in a former life. So if I'm going to use my channeling ability, I will have learned it in a previous life. So this is what how I've done this before refers to in a dream. But it doesn't matter. We still need to go through those things each time we come here, so that we, for whatever reasons we have picked, but we've decided we need to do them.
And is your sense from this dream that the dreamer maybe came to Earth with a group of people? Because she says, I don't want to do this without my group of friends. Yes,
she has. And she's good at working with groups of people. She's mm-hmm. very good with energy. She can do, raise the energy in a room very, very mm-hmm. easily. A few other things, but she's currently trapped in the corporate world. And that's what that's about. And her guides are trying to get her out of it. They keep doing things. And we've done another dream from this dreamer that was about her leaving work. And in fact, they're the ones I've picked dreams like that because they seem to fly in the face of, like, here's some advice for you, quit your job. It would seem crazy to be told to do that by anybody. A counselor is rarely going to say that to you. But your dreams will say it. And I think I've picked 2 dreams where somebody's told to quit their job in my favourites. Hopefully we get to them, but I don't know if we will.
Yeah, well...
But you've also seen people quit their jobs and take up a more spiritual career, if you will, and their lives changed dramatically for the better. So,
Yes, except Susan. Susan quit her job And you're waiting for the for better bit. No,
No.
I'm joking.
I'm happier than and healthier, I think, than I've ever been.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Definitely.
you could get healthier. The way you eat just so well all the time.
Oh, well, I mean, if you had known me before, though, I was sick all the time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I always compare my diet to yours. Be like, Susan, do this.
Don't. Her diet is like she's lost on a remote island with hardly any foods. It's and it's because they attack her as soon as she eats them. It's that the food thinks it's the one doing the eating.
Yeah.
With you, I think. No, actually, that's improved a lot for you too. But
Hugely.
but one of the things, talking about you, one of the things that is also true of you, while you were working, you were already doing a lot of things in the spiritual field.
Yes.
So the difference is you've cut down some of the things that you've quit work and now you're just primarily working in the spiritual field, but you've cut down the amount.
Primarily meaning all.
Only.
Yeah.
But you also did other charity works and things like that you also had to cut back on,
Yes.
according to your dreams. Had
Yes.
to cut back on.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So there's
Yeah.
probably more than just quitting work is the reason that you're healthier now.
Yeah. Yeah. More than just quitting work and changing my diet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna pick a dream called "Dog Dragging Me by the Hand," and I hope I have it here. There's one I definitely want to do. So, "Dog Dragging Me by the Hand," and this is about somebody being told to quit work. She says, "I'm entering the office where I work. It's dark. I go down the back stairs to turn off the alarm. I hear a dog growling. I gingerly start to back up the stairs." I like this because dogs don't really get on with me. So I can relate to this. "The dog grabs my hand. It's a big Doberman. I don't fight against it. It has my right hand, but I start talking to it softly. The dog continues to snarl and growl and starts dragging me down the hallway." A hallway represents a transition. So this dog is actually, even though she's afraid of dogs, in the dream is playing a positive role. So it symbolizes her fear of quitting work. But it's dragging her down the hallway. So the dog is saying, you need to go through this transition. "I notice that my hand doesn't hurt. It feels like the dog has no teeth and my hand is just in a tight glove. I continue to talk softly, saying, 'It's okay, everything is all right. Is anyone here? This dog is attacking me. It's okay.'" I think that's hilarious. "As the dog continues to drag me, my feet leave the ground and I just float along with it." Now, that's always a positive in a dream. Whatever gets you floating, what floats your boat, it's so definitely the dog is a positive. And what the dog does is it's dragging her out the front towards the exit of the building, but so she goes in where she normally goes into work, which is in the back way, and it's bringing her out the front door. So it just wants her out of there. The front so the back door is the past. It's what she currently does, and it wants her in the future to leave work, which is what the front door represents.
And the work reference for the
Is
dream
work.
is because she's at work in the dream.
Yes, yeah. An office can quite often symbolize other things, but here it is about her place of work. And all this, it doesn't hurt, the dog has no teeth, it just feels like a tiger. So everything is saying, there's not going to be pain involved in this. Now this, when is this dream from? March 18th. She's still working there. So, but you know better than anybody, it's difficult to quit.
It is, yeah.
So.
Until you do it, and then you think, how did I stay there so long? Oh, those people might be listening. Sorry! I mean, I miss you all. Just don't miss the work.
All right, what have you got, Heidi?
So I picked another one which is work related too. I don't think there's irony there. I think we all somehow managed to pick these ones. But so there's a situation around the dream, so I'll just give a bit of a background. The dreamer can't sleep at night and she's having sinus issues going on, and she's stressing about walking people out the door, laying them off in work the next day, which is what she's literally doing. She asks for guidance on how she can make it through this time period without stressing her body out and getting sick or more sick. So the dream starts off, "I see my body covered in a light grey metal suit similar to what Iron Man in the movies wears. My head is not covered and I can see clearly everything around me. The suit is attached to steel cables which are then attached to a helicopter. The helicopter is lifting me up in the air about 100 feet or so above the ground. I am looking around and enjoying the view." And then I wake up.
Okay, and this is one you liked as well, Susan. So the dreamer is actually getting people to, laying them off. She's in a corporation, a large corporation, and they're doing a cull. They're making huge profits, but they want bigger profits for the shareholders, which is, the reverse of this trickle-down economics that they talk about. And everybody knows it doesn't happen. But anyway, so this dreamer is very aware of that in a very profitable period, the company is culling people. And as a manager, she's the one having to tell people that they're losing their jobs, even though she's not laying anybody off.
Even though it wasn't her decision.
Not her decision.
Yeah.
I mean, and she could be one of the people let go too. It's a callous thing. And this is really, really affecting her, emotionally, horribly affecting her. And this dream is so rare because it's one of the rare times you will see a dream saying, get out of your heart and be objective about things. Move up into your head. Realize that this is just a logical thing. Have as little emotional attachment to this as possible, because you're only going to hurt yourself. And so grey is about, as a colour, is about denial of emotion. We talk about things being, or the grey cells being in the brain. So here it's saying deny the emotion, and then Iron Man wears this suit to protect his heart, and she's wearing this metal suit again in the dream for her to protect her heart. So that's what's really cool about that dream. Helicopters and dreams are also about the heart. That's what children hear while they're in the womb. That's what the mother's heartbeat sounds like. So we've all had that. And being lifted up into the air in a dream is also about activating your intellect. So again, get out of the emotions and protect yourself by moving up out of your heart. So rare to see that in a dream. It is a technique that psychoanalysts will use to help you get over fears. For instance, if you're afraid of spiders, you can imagine a spider on the top step of a stairs, and you're walking up the stairs towards the spider in a meditative state. And the closer you get, the more detached you get from your emotions, even though you don't have to say that to the person. So it gets easier to approach the spider the closer you get to it, and it's a really cool trick for overcoming the fear. If you can imagine a fear of spiders.
I can. So I love just the like when I imagine myself in this dream, just the lifting up element of it too. Like it just feels uplifting.
Absolutely, and it's like a flying dream.
And
if you have flying dreams, that emphasizes exactly how this works. People tend to have flying dreams when they have something very upsetting going on in their lives, and they always wake up feeling great after the flying dreams. And that's because it's you getting out of your emotions and just into your head and leaving all your worries behind. That's really what it symbolizes in a dream. It is what you're doing.
Shall I pick another one?
Please do.
Okay. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake. I'm Susan Pullen. I'm with Michael Sheridan and Heidi Brooke, and we're going through our favorite dreams from the last year. And so, Michael, you had a dream.
Yeah, and I didn't write down the show we did it on, but we received it on September 25th, so it's a recent-ish one. And it's called Dog Dish, and I think we did it at the end of a show. But I really liked it because the dreamer is kind of smarmy at the start of it, saying, look at me, I'm all prepared, and then realizes that there was a better way to do things. And you can go, well, how can there be an easier way than being all prepared at the beginning? So, and let's see, is it worth saying, no, I won't give any context. So she says, it's a warm summer day and I'm walking home from somewhere with my colleague. I'm carrying a blue dog dish with water in it and notice that Andrew doesn't have one, and I'm feeling a little boastful that I'm prepared enough to have brought one with me. When we cross the street, however, he leans over and picks up a dog dish that he had placed there earlier that was waiting there for him. Whenever we cross the street, there's another dish of water waiting for him, like they were planted there just for him. I'm still carrying mine and the water keeps splashing around, and I wish I had been smart enough to do what Andrew did. Actually, I added a piece in there. He didn't put the dish there earlier. They're all there waiting for him. So either one is good if you have the dish. So basically it's about, she's thinking about quitting work. In fact, at this stage, she did quit work. And so we definitely have a theme going here. We should have called this our career show. So she did quit work, and now she's working for herself. But before that, she had this dream about the dog dish. And of course, dogs are considered to be man's best friend. So the dog dish is a symbol of her being loyal to herself. And that's what she needs to be. And she, of course, at the start of the dream is saying, well, I've got what I need. I've prepared myself in some way. And then this other person, he just picks up these dog dishes that are already waiting for him every time he does something. In the street, traffic and streets have to do with career quite often in dreams. So it's saying if she was to change career, which is crossing the street can represent here, then she'll be like him, just like him, because she's everything in the dream. She will have what she needs waiting for her on the other side. So it's an encouragement to her to quit. And it must have worked because she did. But I just love the symbolism of it, because it's the same for all of us. We all have everything we need because we plan our lives so meticulously from the spirit plane. We don't just happen in here and say, what will I do now? We've planned why we're coming here, what we need to work on, who's going to help us, who we're going to help in our lives, and everything that we need in between. Just like when we go on vacation, you're going to bring the money, you're going to bring the passports, you're going to bring the clothes for the climate you're going to. We've planned and we've prepared absolutely everything we need. So when you find yourself in a predicament, you've probably planned that predicament. And if you haven't, it's because you've stepped off your path and you need to step back onto it. In both cases, the predicament is going to help you in some way by getting you to question things and grow through the experience or change because of the experience. Anyway, I just love it. Be loyal to yourself. The whole symbolism of it. Very short, very nice dream.
I love that. So I have one. It's called Ceremony with Robert. And this is from, episode 26 of the show. I'm in ceremony with Robert. We're in circle with at least 100 people in the middle of a field. Robert gives a couple of people gifts. People are starting to split off into smaller groups. Robert wants us to circle up around him so he can demonstrate something with our group. He gives me a bright green branch and tells me to cut off 5 little branches. The little stems are 1 to 2 inches each. I cut them off and hold them in my hand. I'm supposed to hold on to them for a ceremony the next day. Robert gives me a hug and says, "Is there no hill worth forgiving things?"
Could you analyze that dream for us?
So what I loved, when you analyzed this dream before, you talked about the, how Robert's a guide because he gives people gifts. And he really does lead groups. But the bit that I loved was how you said it's sort of like a parable. Like, hold on to these 5 little stems and we'll do the ceremony tomorrow. And it's as though, like, if you came back the next day still holding on to them, he would say, okay, the ceremony is going to be tomorrow, actually. And then if you come back the next day and you're still holding on to them, he's going to say, well, okay, it's not yet, but maybe tomorrow. And eventually you'd get sick of holding these these little stems and come back and say, I can't hold on to these any longer. I have to go live the rest of my life. And he would say, okay, the ceremony is now. Like, you've learned
complete.
you've learned that, how to let go of things. And that being the point of the dream. Like he says, is there no hill worth forgiving things? Which is, it's a little bit funny wording for it, but it's about letting go of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of an unusual dream to get a parable like that, because you have to work it out. And how dreams can be very distinctive for each dreamer. So it can take a while sometimes to get into the mindset that works for a particular dreamer.
Yes.
The problematic ones are when somebody's read a dream book that's crazy, and they and there's lots of those books, and they will say this means this and that means that, and a person will then start using those associations, even though those symbols wouldn't have meant that to them. reading the book will influence you.
Right.
So,
It's like your higher self says, "Oh, we're speaking that language. Okay, I
Yeah.
can speak that language."
I mean, we can learn any language, but yeah. So those ones you have to channel on and figure out, is there an association here? And maybe that's something we could do on a show, talking about how really complicated dreams and how do you crack them. Whereas we try to pick easy. Well, I certainly try to pick easy ones, ones that are suitable for educational purposes. To say, okay, if you have this in a dream, here's what it's going to mean. So the ones that, if you did do a show like that, it would be, maybe it would be off-putting because you'd be saying to somebody, like, if you dream of this, it's not going to mean that, because these are strange and unusual meanings for particular symbols. But anyway, yeah, so I said we might do it and then said why it's a bad idea at the same time.
Yeah, but I think, it's good for us to acknowledge that people's own associations with symbols can change the meaning, and
Oh,
we
absolutely.
talk about the meaning of the symbols, but there's layers of meaning.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, probably the most complex would be somebody who knows a lot about mythology, because mythology and dreams are very similar. Because they could then use symbols, mythological symbols, that have very powerful and potent meanings. And of course, you'd probably see those in a dream, but you have to be familiar with those too. It's not going to happen you as an individual unless you already have that association. But maybe we'd look for mythological type dreams as well.
So actually, I think, kind of speaking of dreams that have almost a mythic quality to them, I think, Heidi, you have one.
Yeah, this one is called the Aleutian Water Shaman. I am flying over the Puget Sound and heading north. I fly along the coast of British Columbia and then land in Alaska. I fly all the way to the base of the mountain of Denali. At the base of the mountain, an Aleutian female shaman is waiting for me. She takes my head in her hands and we touch forehead to forehead. We ascend Denali together, and as we go, she stops at every river and stream and collects a little bit of water into a small glass jug. Each stream and river has its own little glass jug, and she keeps all the bottles in her bag. We reach the top of the mountain and her cabin and go inside. She places her satchel on the table. She has a cabinet in which she has many larger bottles of water, each labeled with the name of every stream and river. I help her take each little individual jug of water from her satchel and add that water to its matching larger bottle from the cabinet. When we are finished, we place the small empty bottles into an organizing box that she has and put the box of bottles into her satchel. She then takes my head in her hands and touches her forehead to mine.
And we did this dream, and there wasn't really enough time. We left it till the end, even though it was probably the most significant dream on the show that week. I mean, they're all significant, but this one, in terms of how different it was, it really stood out. And you were talking about afterwards about touching the foreheads together.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that?
Yeah, so that part, to me, it struck me as like there's something so archetypal about that, or something. There was something like familiar about it. So I looked it up on the internet, and it's a like Maori or Hawaiian traditional greeting. And it has to do with the belief that our essence, our soul, is in our bones. And so touching forehead to forehead where the bone is very close is a way of like greeting like true self to true self. Like being open, your essence being open and acknowledging with someone else.
Like the beings in Avatar.
There's also a Celtic tradition called Anam Cara that's kind of similar. It reminds me of that. Where your soul touches the other person's soul.
In fact, the Irish for name is soul. They ask you, what's your soul?
What's your soul? I love that.
So what have we got in this? There's a lot of cool things in it. That piece you just mentioned. And this dreamer had given us other dreams as well. So there's a lot of similarities. She had another dream where she was with a woman on a donkey collecting herbs in lots of different places and then bringing them all in a bag like she does with these bottles to a place to sort them out and put them with other things. So she's got this theme for sure. But this one is really good. Does she actually use the word ascended in this one, which is...
Ascended mountain.
Yeah, so this dreamer has ascended. Anybody want to cover what ascended means? It's about our lives. We have lots of lives that we live on the earth plane. Typically, we've lived many. And the whole point of coming here is to slowly erode the ignorance that we have about our true nature and increase our awareness of our true nature and our unearth our true nature, really. And each lifetime adds a little bit to the bank of our awareness. Some will take away and others will add. And we'll adjust our lives based on, and our plans based on how we've reacted to things in former lives. And we tend to work in groups because that energy works well. If we've worked with several people in another lifetime, we've got a level of trust with them. And even though we're all actors each time around, we can play different roles and work really well together off each other. I kind of digressed a bit, but anyway, so we live all these lives, and eventually we get to a point where we no longer need to come back to the earth plane, and we've ascended past the level that the earth can give us. So it's like we've got our diploma from the earth, and we don't need to come back here. We still can come back, but if you come back at that stage, you're going to either be a trainee guide or that sort of level. Because what happens after this level is you review every single earth life that you've ever lived, and you move into a completely different phase where you're not like, so we're here and it's like if we had 50 eyes and we keep 49 of them closed. We're only seeing a little bit of ourselves and we're only seeing a little bit of reality. When you get to the next phase, when you've ascended, it's like you've got all your eyes open. And if you do come here, it's not necessarily to learn anything about yourself, but it's to help other people. So I've hammered that, and I'm sure there's something I'm not saying about Ascend that somebody's going to want me to say. But so it's really huge that this dreamer has achieved that level. But the beautiful thing here, what I really like about this dream myself, is it's saying that she's collecting all the water from all these different streams. And water in dreams, we say it all the time, represents life. So each stream, they're all the different streams of her life, of her being, of her essence. And she's collecting, each earth lifetime has allowed her to collect an element of her essence and bring it back. And like in the dream, she puts it back into the larger bottles that are already in the cabin. So it's like, this is the purpose. Come down here, collect a little bit. You're not doing everything in one lifetime because you can't do that. So you collect a little bit and you go back and accumulate it and reach a certain level. And the level of ascension doesn't mean that you've regained all your former awareness. And even in this dream, it shows that because the bottles aren't all full. So there's still a ways to go, but you're finished with the earth plane lessons. And it's just a fantastic dream.
And Michael, you and I were talking also about the significance of the mountain of Denali.
Oh yeah, it's the highest mountain in America. And Heidi, you're from Alaska.
That's why I was happy to see it called Denali and not Mount McKinley.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it finally got named back.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in Alaska would have called it Denali all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the tallest mountain. So it represents then like the biggest peak, the huge achievement. Whereas if you were to place this on Everest, it wouldn't work for this dreamer because the dreamer's American. So and India would represent a karmic thing. And so here, would it be in Denali? Would it be in the tallest mountain? And and it's an individual mountain too. It's not like part of a mountain range. It's just colossal. So it just shows the pinnacle of her achievement or the significance of her achievement by having it placed there. Is there anything else in it?
Flying. We touched on flying before. So.
And are the glass jugs, I'm just curious, do they represent the bodies the lives she's lived?
Yeah, they could. Something that contains life or holds life. But here it's more what they're being used for. It's all collecting, and then only pouring the contents out when she gets up the mountain.
So I think we have time for one more quick dream.
All right.
Do you have a short one?
Is it my turn or your turn?
It's your turn.
All right, I have a few that I like. And there's one I really like. I like a bit of it, just because of the way it comes up. And it's called My Mom Steps Off the Bridge. And this one is from way back in January. And the dreamer says, I'm walking across the I-90 bridge with my mom. How much time have we got?
A minute and a half.
Oh, towards Seattle. The bridge is closed to traffic and there are many people out walking on it. We're almost to the Seattle side, but still on the floating part. My mom is wearing a long black raincoat, not good. The edge of the bridge has no rail, it just drops straight off the water. My mom is looking at something on the hillside on the shore and she accidentally walks right off the edge of the bridge into the water. She starts to sink but then comes up to the surface. I think I ask if she's okay. She says something like, look at the Christmas lights. And that's why I love this tree, because that's so nuts. On the shore there is a lit Christmas tree. Then she slips below the surface again, slowly sinking. I start to panic and call for help. She isn't struggling or even really trying to swim at all. No one around me responds to my calls for help. She sinks down into the water and drowns. So the woman drowns, but it's not a problem in the dream. I mean, it is a problem for the dreamer, but she's meant to let go of her mom. She's meant to do, and the mom is willing to do this. But what's really cool about the dream is that she points back at the Christmas tree, at the Christmas scene, and says, you're from the light, the dreamer's from the light. Remember your purpose, that you're here, your birth, because Christmas is about birth and everything in the dream is you. So you came here as a being from the light to work with others. Let go of the issues with your mom because they're holding you back, whatever they are. And we don't have any more time to go into any more detail.
So I think that's it for our show today. Please remember to send in your dreams to radio show at dream-analysis.com. And you can listen to the archives of the shows at dream-analysis.com/KKNW. So thanks very much to Heidi.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening, and happy Thanksgiving.